Hey, Hal here. I want to talk a little bit about our partnership with OnX Hunt. I've been using it for a while now, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a very techie person, but the OnX app is it's a real time saver. I remember the days when we poured over topo maps everywhere we was going to go and stuff, and I don't do that quite as much anymore. Where it's really helped me is scouting, whether it's deer scouting, a moose, or even turkey hunting in the spring, which I do. It really helps out. I don't have to spend as much time running around the truck burning up the gas. I'm just basically using my OnX. Got it on my phone. Don't even carry a GPS anymore. So I just download the areas where I'm going to be hunting, whether it's up north moose hunting, and I use it mostly on the satellite imagery. I like to see the cuts and the clearings and the turkey hunting, the hidden fields and stuff. But everybody's using it now, from the game wardens to land surveyors, and just a great tool. And with our partnership with OnX, if you use a code BWB, you're going to receive 20% off on your first premium or elite memberships. And you just go to onxmaps.com/hunt. You'll be glad you did. Good luck on the trail.
This is the Big Woods Bucks podcast. Come explore the big woods and timber in North America with your host, Maine master guide and deer tracking expert Hal Blood. Listen to Hal and co-host Joe Cruzy as they unlock the secrets to big woods whitetails. Each episode will provide valuable insights in the tried and true system Hal has used for the last 40 years to scout, locate, and hunt mature big woods bucks. Listen and laugh as the crew discusses Hal's legendary adventures and learn how to apply a lifetime's worth of lessons from the big woods to your own hunting and outdoor adventures.
Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood, sitting down here in Parlin again with Joe Cruz.
Hello.
After
all this time, I thought it's Cruzy, by the way. I know,
I know it is.
It's hard.
That's what I told Billy. And then Rick Labbe.
Hello.
So today our special guest is Billy Molls from, where you live in Wisconsin, Billy? Northwest, yep. Okay. And I found out about Billy about a year ago. I was just scrolling through YouTube and stuff and saw some of his YouTube videos. And I really related to Billy because he started doing it kind of like I did, just grabbing a camera and going. Billy, I want you to tell your story a little bit about that, how you got going, kind of with a dream, I think, like a lot of us have when we're younger. Anybody that's into the hunting, we got a dream to do something, right? And yours was Alaska.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, grew up on a dairy farm, little town of Turtle Lake. Nobody knows where that is, but my grandpa was a trapper, a farmer, a hunter, and he lived a pretty unique lifestyle. In the winter months, he would go to northern Wisconsin, trap all winter. He was kind of a visionary of sorts. He would do a lot of film and photography of his lifestyle. That always intrigued me. I started trapping and hunting, and there was just something about it. It was kind of all that I really wanted to do. Looking back at it now, I'm 46 now. I mean, I believe that I was called to the wilderness. It's just everything made sense when I was in the wilderness. Long story short, my grandpa, he said, Billy, if you want outdoor adventure, Alaska is the place where you want to go. That's the epitome. And I looked at it. I figured, well, if I could hunt in Alaska, and I looked at the prices of guided hunts or what that would cost. And we never took vacations. We grew up hand to mouth. And looking back at it now, at the time, what I thought was, a handicap was actually the best thing that I had going for me. And so that just made me more hungry, and it made me have to figure out a way to get there. Back of an Outdoor Life magazine, I saw an ad for big game guides needed, wrote to this guide school, Went out to a guide school in Montana, knowing that I ultimately wanted to end up in Alaska. Didn't know anybody there. Went to that guide school. I was a Wrangler packer in Idaho for 4 months in the Frank Church River, no return. That winter, I wrote, called, emailed every outfitter that I could find in Alaska, told them I was a farm kid, greener than grass, didn't know anything about hunting in Alaska, but I was willing to do whatever it took to become a hunting guide. And a guy sent by the name of Dennis Harms sends me a packet that he would send to his clients. It had like color brochures. He had a fishing camp in Western Alaska. He had a fishing camp on Kodiak. He had brown bear hunts on Kodiak. He had sheep and grizzly and moose in the Alaska range. And he wrote me back, said he was interested. And I just said, hey, you give me a chance. You don't even have to pay me. I said, just give me a chance. And he did. Went there. It all kind of happened by accident. When I was a kid, I saw hunting videos and movies were becoming pretty popular. We'd go to the local video store and we'd rent a VHS player, and I'd beg my mom, particularly because I knew my dad wouldn't give in, but my mom would, if we could get a hunting video. And I watched Monarchs of Alberta, I don't know, about 50 times, and some others. And I thought, man, that would be a cool life. So that was just kind of a dream. Get to Alaska, my first client, he has a video camera and he films his hunt. And then when he goes to shoot his bear, me as the packer, I didn't have anything to do until the bear was dead, and I film him shooting this bear. And he sends a copy of that film home. When I stayed up in Alaska for like 6 months, he got home, sends a copy to my parents, and then my grandpa watches that VHS tape, which was like an hour long. And he thought that was just the coolest thing. So he starts asking me questions. Well, then the following year, I got my own video camera, and I basically just filmed home video to show my parents, and probably most importantly, my grandpa, who was kind of my mentor to a degree. Not that I hunted with him a ton, but I always just kind of respected what he did, And one thing led to the next, and it's like 7-8 years into guiding, and I put a hunting DVD together. And then I ran a television show for a couple of years, got burned out on that really quick. That's when I came up with the title Modern Day Mountain Man. And I realized how the television world works. It's all about sponsors and keeping them happy. And that took all the joy out of it for me. And the book of Matthew 6:24 says you can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and mammon. And I realized that doing that, I was trying to keep sponsors happy, but also trying to show what Alaska hunting was like. Because my first ambition, all I was trying to do was show my grandpa, who never got to Alaska, what it was like. And then once I started into television and sponsors want you to showcase their products and this and that, it was like I was so busy and it took all the joy out of it. So I quit television. And then I really, at that point, I didn't think the video was going to go anywhere. And so I kind of like went 180, well, basically 360 degrees back to where I started. And then I started enjoying filming more. And I also started to enjoy getting to know the people that I was with. And because I had no objective. I wasn't trying to tell a story. I wasn't trying to promote anything. I was just trying to film the adventure as it happened. And then kind of my and my clients' response to it. And then what happened, and all of a sudden I started filming again. And then I realized the more I was just authentically me, the more people started enjoying my videos. And then the more people, then I enjoyed filming all the more. And so I don't know, it was just kind of I guess maybe what I learned is that just because it's done a certain way doesn't mean, number one, that you should do it that way. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right way either. And so I don't know. Yeah, I just kind of stepped into it and been doing it ever since. And I look at it now, me coming in and having no clue what it was like to hunt in Alaska. That was the best thing that I had going for me because I took nothing for granted. Everything was new and exciting to me. And yeah, that's so I think that's just so parallel in life, how when, we don't maybe have the same advantages as other people do. Well, if you persevere through those challenges that you have to go through, that's going to fuel, those are going to be seeds of opportunity for you later down the line. And so, yeah, that was a huge advantage for me, but it took me, probably really 20 years to kind of realize that.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's easy in that business, when things come quick, but they don't. You just have to, you have to blaze your own trail, right, Billy?
That's right. I had a client tell me this. He said, it takes forever, but it happens suddenly.
Yeah.
And I would say that's so true. Just like you guys tracking that buck, it's just like nothing's happened until it happens, right?
Yeah.
I still can't kind of get over how you guys do that. I mean, I've really been enjoying, I don't watch much stuff on YouTube. Not much stuff holds my interest, but like what you guys are doing with your tracking, like that's real. I mean, and it's real. And then the experience that, you guys have. And I just think that that's so cool, and just to be ready. And it's got to be totally instinctive. Like I asked a pilot once, like, you guys are coming in and landing on the side of a hill, and you got a crosswind, and then there's a rock. And so then you got a dog leg, and then you got trees at the other end. Like, what's going on in your mind when you're doing that? And he says, literally nothing. It's like they say on the movie
Right.
Top Gun, if you think, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking, you're beyond your skill set. If it goes beyond instinct, just like tracking a grizzly bear in the brush, if it's not all instinctive, you're screwed.
Right.
Like somebody could very well get hurt. It has to just be automatic. And you, I don't know, I did a video about this recently, and I talk about it when I do public speaking, is in our modern world, we all want to hack, right? And that's smart. To learn from other people, but you can't hack everything. Back in, our day, a hack was a negative term, right? Because it meant that you really didn't know what you were doing, but you were just kind of posing. And to get to a level of comfort and expertise, I kind of figure it takes about 20 years. And it takes 20 years of screwing it up, and learning it the hard way, because once you work from the ground up, from the very basic foundation, and you learn everything the hard way, like that never goes away. And you start doing things that you don't even know why you're doing them. It's just you've learned, and subconsciously, you guys are doing these things tracking. I'm sure when you put that video camera and try to explain it, there's a lot of things that you do and you don't even necessarily know why, but it's based upon trial and error of 20, 30, 40 years, and that's pretty incredible. And then for me, that's when hunting really gets fun, when you realize how much, and it's just like anything, I guess, is the more you do something and the more you truly know about something, the more you realize how much you don't know. When I was 5-10 years into guiding, I thought I had it all figured out. Now it's 25 years and I realized, dang, I'm just getting started. I'm a lot dumber than I thought I was.
So Billy, really good story, by the way. And it's funny, you talked about the ad in the Back Outdoor Life. I remember I rode off for that same guide school in Montana, probably, I'm imagining the same one. It was in the Back Outdoor Life, and they sent me a big packet. I was a kid down in South Florida and just dreamt of doing the same thing, heading off and guiding. I didn't do it back in those days. It took me a number of years before I ended up getting to that place.
He met a girl.
Yeah. That was part of it. but you're 40, you're a few years younger than me. You're 6 years younger than me. So, what year was that? Was that probably like the mid 90s then that you were going to the guide school and doing all that?
Yeah, I went in 97. Yep, went to Jerry Melson's guide school in Trout Creek, Montana.
That was the one. Yeah. and so
that's the one?
Yeah, that was the one I sent off to. Yep. So you you end up out in Alaska. You're a kid out there, and so I imagine it's probably like it is now, where they started you off packing first before you ever thought of guiding, I would imagine.
Yeah, I packed on Kodiak Island my first spring, and then I guided fishermen in the summer in western Alaska, and then I packed for a different outfitter who did moose, caribou, and bear in western Alaska. Then went back to Alaska my second year, packed another spring on Kodiak, and then my second fall I was able to get a guide's license.
Okay. Yeah. It's the Alaska bug bit me late, but I absolutely love it going out there, and I just have primarily moose hunted out there, but I can see if a young guy gets out there that he never comes back.
Right.
Yeah, that wilderness immersion is that's what I love about it. You know, there's a lot of places in Alaska that aren't as wild as most people would think. You know, if you can get a boat there, a four-wheeler, a vehicle, you're definitely going to have people, and even airplanes, you know. But still, there's still some places that are still pretty dang wild, and that's what I love about it. I love it.
Yeah, we started going. Well, Joe found a place to go moose hunting, drop camp hunt back 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they had a good hunt. Him and his buddy both shot nice bulls, and then talked some of the rest of us to go the next time. It was 2 years later, I think, wasn't it? Was it?
Yep. Nope. The next year.
Oh, the next year.
21.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was 6 of us went the next time and made the pilgrimage out. Just got dropped in, and those were pretty remote areas.
Yep.
But we learned, or I did especially. I've been guiding moose hunters here for, I don't know, 25 years. But I learned that it's different there, you know. It's not, it's more of a spot and stalk there in Alaska. And here we have to do a lot of calling because of, you know, the thick woods, you know. I mean, we have clear cuts and stuff like that, but we rely a lot more on calling a moose that you don't see, or calling just to locate one. You know, you're not locating them by spotting them. And since I don't have much patience, I wasn't very good at the Alaska scene, trying to sit around and glass day after day in the same spot. So, but anyways, I had my young fella that filmed for me quite a bit over the years. His dream was to shoot a moose, and he's never been drawn here in Maine. He filmed my Maine moose hunt, and he's never been drawn. And so I didn't even carry a gun in the beginning of it. I just wanted to get him one, you know. But we didn't see a lot of moose. I think we ended up seeing 5 bulls the whole trip. We got moved once, but we had a really nice one that was an old bull, but it was right around 50, and it only had 3 on the brows. And I said, you can shoot it if you want, but I'm not going to tell you to shoot that one. But you could see it was an old, thick-antlered bull. His palms just turn ahead. You know how they'll lose 10 inches easy. That was like that. And then I left him to go take a walk, or actually that morning, he got down to his spot. He had a spot because he could sit. He's a bow hunter and stuff. And before I got down there, I said, I'll be down right along. And he no more than dropped his pack, and there was a big bull down the bog down below him. And he didn't know what to do. You know, he'd been with me calling and stuff. So it was windy up there, and he didn't think the bull would hear him. Now, the bull's only 100 yards from him. He ran down over the steep hill. We were up on a hill and dropped down in a kind of a creek bottom there. And he called the bull in. I don't know what kind of sound he made, but he ran out. He got all the way down and ran out and called, and the bull come crashing in like 40 yards from him and stopped. Obviously, we know we was waiting to smell him, and it did. It winded him, and he never got it. All he could say was it was a giant. His head was hanging when I got there, but
he was pretty.
He said,
he was pretty distraught.
It's all he could say was, dude, it was a giant. I said, how big was it? He said it's all he could say was it was a giant.
So yeah, we're going back. Jason and I are going back next year.
What do you have his bow?
No,
no?
he couldn't. He said it was behind a big spruce tree. He
yeah.
said the antlers were coming out both sides, but he said there was no shot. And
Yeah.
he's a good hunter, so if he said there's no shot, I believe he
he's
didn't
a
have
good
any.
hunter. Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things when you get out there. I tell everyone, and I try to encourage everyone to go out. You know, you don't have to have a guide. You know, you find the right guy to drop you off out there, and there's nothing like it. It's just. I'm going to go as many times as I can.
Yeah, but I would say to the people that aren't moose hunters, you know, to get a guide to do it, you know, because they won't know what to do if they just get dropped off.
Well, just the logistics of getting them out,
yeah,
is enough to keep some people out. But anyway, yeah, I can only imagine what it'd be like going out there at a young age and experiencing all of it, you know, and doing what you've done. And the fact that you thought to, back in the VHS days, you know, to be documented, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So my dream for Alaska, Billy, started when I was real young too. When I was a kid, I thought about it. I used to sit in my grandfather's lap, and he'd read me Outdoor Life, and I was intrigued with the white sheep because we have the snowshoe hares, you know, that are white, but it was something about those white sheep. And I dreamed about that since I was a little kid. And I wanted to move to Alaska as soon as I got out of the Marine Corps. I would have been 1979, but I had met a girl, and she didn't want to move to Alaska. So we moved back to Maine, and I didn't, because I was going to, if I was still on my own, I was heading to Alaska in 1979. But it's okay. Things wouldn't have happened the way they did for me now. You know, that was the path. But anyways, then I started writing to different outfitters. I think the Yukon, too. I sent a thing to the Yukon and the Outfitters Association, and those for Dall sheep hunts. I remember back then they were $5,500 to $7,500 for a Dall sheep hunt back in that was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but that was a lot of money back then, too,
yeah.
you know. So anyways, and I finally went in, when I turned I was around 50. I got a chance to go because one of the guides that guided for me here for deer was from Vermont, actually two of them, and they had done the same thing you did. They went to Alaska when they were young, and they packed and got their guides' licenses and all of that. And one of them, his name's Mike, he said, well, I can take you, just pay the expenses. So I got to go sheep hunting. Actually, over the years, I went twice with him, and I just basically paid his wages and expense. So it worked out economically for me because I couldn't even at that time afford to go sheep hunting. And I haven't shot a sheep. Both times we had, the first time we went, we had the weather, we got in there, and the weather shot up to 80 degrees, and he said he'd never seen it that hot. We were in the Chugach Mountains. We backpacked into the Chugach Mountains 2.5 days to some unit in there, you know. And you know about that unit. It's pretty rough going in there. And but we see some sheep, put a stalk on some sheep. We put a 10-hour stalk the first morning and spooked them in the last 100 yards. But anyways, just that experience was just for me. It didn't matter about getting the sheep, but that's when I really got hooked on the Alaska thing, you know. And then I went again, and them sheep all disappeared. They all went down in the crevices and stuff to get out of the heat. And I went about 4 years later, and it did the same thing. So that was my luck. And actually, both times I never got 10 days out of it. We got 10 days in the first time, or 9, but I took a buddy and he wanted a grizzly, and so we grizzly hunted and sheep hunted. And the second time because we flew into the Chugi, you know, we flew into the Wrangells with another outfitter that Mike worked for, but we only had 5 days to hunt, and it did the same thing. It got hot, and this time all the sheep went way up into the top where you couldn't even get at them. But so anyway. I'm trying to make it back before I get really too old.
So Billy, are you still?
Yeah, sheep hunting's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Are you still guiding out there, Billy?
This fall, I will not be. I've got a compression fracture in my spine. So I'm going to take this fall off. I got a lot of video production that I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm going to do a little hunting of my own. I've guided there in Alaska 25 years. I've never shot a big game animal for myself. So maybe I think I might take advantage. I don't think this year, Lord willing, next year, I'll do a little hunting for myself. But yeah, it's kind of caught up to me. There for a while, I was guiding in Alaska over 100 days a year. And just it kind of caught up to me. I had an injury that I think something happened when I was really, really young. Don't know what it was, but I was getting a lot of pain throughout my body. And finally, I went in, got an x-ray, found a compression fracture in the middle of my spine where my diaphragm meets my spine. And one of my vertebrae is 40% what it should be. And so my body's been compensating for that for many, many years. And so now I just need a period of rest. And I'm an inch and 3/8 taller than I was 3 years ago.
How's that?
Just all the compression, heavy packs. I feel pretty dang good, but yeah, those heavy, anything, it all catches up to you,
Oh, yeah.
And I was pretty reckless abandon on my body like a lot of us, and just figured I'll be slogging moose quarters out of swamps till I'm 70, but that's not the case.
There's nothing worse than packing game on your body, really, as far as it goes. It does catch up with you. Yeah. So how'd you? Would you go physical therapy to get yourself back?
Well, I still got a ways to go. I'm healing, but more or less I do it basically at home. I'm just trying to retrain my body because I've compensated for that injury. And so different muscle groups are working when others should be. And so that's where kind of I was getting total body pain. So yeah, I do probably like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of therapy every day. And just at my house, I will walk a lot and just not pushing it until I'm ready. Just like remodeling a house, you got something wrong, you got to go in and get it down to the studs, and that's kind of where I got to go because I've been pushing it for many, many years. And so Lord willing, it'll be all things work for good. And I'm definitely seeing it in my own life. One of the best things that's happened during this time, I've got 2 young daughters that are 12 and 13. My relationship with them is, I'd say was really good before, but just that consistency and being there every day with them, because I've been gone a lot. It was pretty tooth and nail. They're making a living on guide wages and video production, and I was doing carpentry, and I'd get back from 90 days in the fall, and I'd literally have like a day off, and then I'd go right to work. And I was home every day.
We all know the feeling.
Time of year, but yeah.
Sounds like all 3 of us.
Yeah.
So you don't you don't look like you need it operated on then?
Well, I haven't even gone to a surgeon. You go to a surgeon, what's he going to say?
Yeah.
So I've heard from enough people that have said, hey, if, try not to, and I'm making gains. So I'm just not going to push it. A lot of arthritis and stuff, and basically 2 vertebrae above my injury and 2 vertebrae below it have fused together. So there's a ton of scar tissue. And so I'm just trying to allow that to get movement again. And it's happening. It's really, really slow.
Do you use a inversion table, Billy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I have one at my house, and that's what cured me of the back issues I had. It's just.
I still use mine every day.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, my lower back is pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
But it's better than it was 2 years ago.
Just taking that weight off it and just letting it stretch out and just letting your body relax really, really helps.
Yeah. So
what I had to learn with my back, I've had back troubles for a long time too, but I had to just learn not to pick heavy stuff up anymore because I always did it, and then I'd throw my back out and go to the chiropractor and get it fixed. And then I finally learned how much weight I should lift. And if I went beyond it, I'd be back down to the chiropractor again. So, and that's actually, I can tell my back is healing. I had my biggest problem in the sciatic joint with it hooks your hips to your backbone. It would kind of flip out of place there. And it was always nagging. I always had that lower back nag, and it was always on the left, and it would swell up. And it's pretty much gone from not being dumb and lifting heavy stuff.
So,
Yep. Pride is a double-edged sword. Yeah. It can be good and it can be bad. Yeah. And as men, we never want to be the weakest link. We never want to slow anybody down. And yeah.
Well, my other problem is my mind says I'm 30, but I'm going to be 67 here in May. So
your beard said otherwise.
Yeah, my beard's a lot whiter than it used to be. Hey, Hal here. Just wanted to tell you we're excited about our partnership with Minus 33. Minus 33 specializes in merino wool base layers for outdoor enthusiasts, from tops and bottoms to hats, socks, gloves. And our gear is going to keep you warm and comfortable no matter what adventure you're on, especially those big woods ones. We're a fifth-generation family, owned and operated, a New Hampshire woolen textile manufacturer. They have over 106 years of woolen expertise, and they started manufacturing woolen socks, the Mountain Heritage ones, in New Hampshire in 2018, with the idea that a quality product, affordable pricing, and can be worn and loved from season to season, no matter what your experience level or skill is, so no one should feel uncomfortable or ill-prepared in the outdoor community. Having a reliable gear is one of the first steps towards a lifetime of passion or whatever activity it is. And my caveat to that is you got to wear your woolies. Cotton is death.
Hey folks, Rick Labbe here from Big Woods Bucks. I'm here today to tell you about our new packs. This is our new small pack, which the first time I saw it, Chris showed it to me and I said, that's the Nuna, because that's the perfect pack if I'm getting on a buck track at noon. And it'll hold the sandwich, your water, a little bit of gear. It's virgin wool, made in USA, waterproof resistant, has a liner on the inside. It's a great pack. This pack, this is our newest large pack, which when I used to carry the older pack, I always wore suspenders because it bothered my hips a little bit. So we designed one with shoulder straps, and this is a great pack. It takes the weight off your hips, puts it onto your shoulders. It's got a GPS pouch right here in the top you slide in. Same deal, it's water resistant on the inside, got that liner. It's a perfect pack. So I go to bigwoodsbucks.com, get yours today, and I'll see you on the track.
As you all know, Big Woods Bucks is devoted to promoting the best equipment for tracking and still hunting the big woods. Part of that equation for success is the sights that sit on your hunting rifle. We've chosen Skinner Sights as the company to produce our custom-built BWB Tracker Series peep sight. It's constructed of solid steel, has our custom ghost ring, and was co-developed by some of the best trackers in the world. To get yours, go to bigwoodsbucks.com and click on the Optics tab.
Pine State Armory in Skowhegan is your ultimate destination for hunting and outdoor gear. Located at 338 Madison Avenue, we're more than just a store, we're family. Nick and Jess and their friendly dogs, Bailey and Ruby, are always ready to greet you. Pine State Armory is a family-friendly store where safety meets expertise. Your kids are always welcome, and if you're new to the sport, we're here to help with gear recommendations and the knowledge and information you need to get started right. Looking to buy, sell, or trade firearms, whether new or used, we have what you need. And to those who serve our country, we're proud to offer a military discount as a token of our appreciation. Visit us today at Pine State Armory, 338 Madison Avenue, Unit 8 in Skowhegan, and experience the great outdoors like never before.
So, Going back to your guiding, Billy, over those years, you said you guide for bear also?
Yep. So brown bear, grizzly bear, Dall sheep, caribou, moose, the odd wolf here and there. I never really got into goats or black-tailed deer. But yeah, grizzly bear, brown bear, that's my favorite, bar none.
Any close calls over the years? I'm sure there's been a couple harrowing moments.
Got to watch his movies. They're all on there, right?
There's one. Yeah, you can watch one on YouTube. It's called Shadow of Death. That one was pretty dicey. But yeah, a lot of like moderately close calls. You get a lot of encounters. But the reason why, I love it. The danger factor, I'm not like a adrenaline junkie, but the danger factor is like part of it because it keeps you sharp, right?
Absolutely.
It goes beyond stalking a deer. Brown bear, grizzly bear, I've never gotten buck fever ever. Maybe when I was starting out, but I've never gotten it. If I shoot a doe here in Wisconsin for meat, sometimes I'll still get it, buck fever, that is. But I find that bear hunting really, really tests every faculty that you possess as a hunter, because you got to be patient. You've got to be in good shape because they live in rugged terrain. Judging the bear is very difficult. An antlered animal is a lot easier. A horned animal is a lot easier than a bear because you're looking at a bear. Literally, sometimes we're looking at bears 5 miles away. You're trying to figure out, is it a boar? Is it a sow? Is it mature? How big is it? So it keeps you really, really sharp. And I think maybe kind of the danger element too is you always know that, like, hey, you're in somebody else's backyard here. And so I find that it's a lot easier to shut out the rest of the world when you're in bear country. Because you're an alien there when you're in real remote country where there's lots of bears and are just so much life and death, particularly like on the coastal hunts where you might see 20, 30, maybe 40 bears a day. And there's so much life there in that coastal environment, the salmon and the birds and wolves and moose, caribou, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
Yeah, I hunted bears in Alaska for 14 days, probably 8 or 10 years ago now. Yeah, I was in
Where'd you go?
I was in the up on the Kilchatna, I believe, river with Chet. I know
Benson?
Chet. Yeah, Chet Benson. Yeah, hunted with Chet.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard the name.
Yeah.
So you say Western Alaska. Were you far out west like Bethel, or were you closer? Like what units were you typically in? I guess it depended on what you were hunting.
Yeah, I've hunted a lot of different places: Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak, several different areas in Western Alaska, Central Alaska, a little bit in Eastern, kind of in the Tok country, some down around Cordova, a lot up in the Brooks Range.
Everywhere.
About the only place, for the most part, is like southeast on the Panhandle and that rainforest stuff. I didn't get down much below Cordova. So, yeah, I've been around a fair bit. A lot of the places I've hunted, Peninsula, I've hunted there for 20-some years, Brooks Range over 20 years as well. And that's been cool seeing different country. I think ultimately, as hunters, we love the adventure. And we're students of nature. So we love just going in different places and learning, seeing how it's connected, like you were saying, Hal, how the moose, it's very, very similar, but yet there's differences. There's subtle nuances to everywhere you go. And I don't know. So there's always parts where you like going back to places where you've been, and because you're always learning, right? And there's cool hunting spots that are familiar because you kind of know where the animals like to go, but then it's also cool coming into fresh country and you got an open slate and you got to figure it all out, really, really quick.
So do you you're out there for 90 days, so you probably get back in time for deer season. Do you hunt much when you get back home, or have you had enough?
Not a whole lot. I mean, usually, particularly, I think I quit. I haven't bow hunted since like 2011 when my youngest daughter was born. Just kind of ran out of, you'd only had so much time, and I kind of had my hunting fix, and I would still deer hunt, shoot the odd deer for meat, but yeah, that kind of curbed my craving for hunting, really, particularly once I started a family. When I was single, yeah, I would go hunting, but I don't know. For me, I've never been, I don't know. I loved the adventure, the wilderness immersion. That's what I love, more about it than anything.
That is the thing I noticed the first time I went. We got dropped off and the planes took off and we're sitting out there with all of our gear, and that's when it really hits you and how incredible it is. I mean, you're alone. When you want real wilderness, that's the place to go for it. And I think I always tell people that's like the biggest thing, that you feel when the plane takes off is that feeling of really being in a wilderness out there and the adventure of it.
Yeah, and when you're, obviously you're doing your DIY hunts, I'm, assuming there's usually going to be 2 a year or maybe 3, and that's very, very smart. I mean, a person should do it that way, particularly unless you're quite experienced. And even like on a guided hunt, when you've got 2 people, but when you're out there and you're all alone, I kind of figure about 8, probably more than 8 years of my life, I've been in a tent, and probably, a couple hundred days easy, it's been by myself. And it's amazing how fast those days go by. Everybody thinks, oh, that's got to be, it's got to be really hard being out there by yourself for 3-4 days by yourself. And I'm like, honestly, I love that more than anything, more than any part of the job.
Yeah.
You really get to know yourself. And I love that more than anything. And I tell people that all the time is, if you want to go on an Alaskan adventure, if you go a 2-on-1 hunt, 2 hunters, 1 guide, you might save a little bit of money. But I tell people all the time, my suggestion is this: get your own guide, assuming you need one, right? You go caribou or grizzly bear, brown bear, Dall sheep, or mountain goat, you have to have a guide. And so I tell them I would go 1-on-1, because if you're with someone who you're familiar with, you are not going to feel nearly as small and out of your element with someone that you kind of trust and know. Whereas when you're all alone, obviously you're with a guide who you probably won't know, the first time, but that wilderness immersion, I feel, has a much stronger impact on you personally if you're alone in it. Again, you're with a guide, but somebody you don't know. Whereas if, your dad, your buddy, your brother, or whatever, if you're together, it's easy to kind of fall back in your old patterns, so to speak, or fall back on, I know Joe's with me here. He'd keep me safe if anything happened. When you get out there, it's a pretty humbling feeling. And I'd say a lot of people, they like that. And a lot of people don't. I happen to love it.
So, Billy, we're going to be able to talk into coming out here for the adventure, getting on a buck track?
That'd be pretty dang cool. That'd be way cool. I mean, how you guys do it, I don't even bother really looking at tracks, to be honest, so much. Number one, like where I live, we don't have very big country. It's farm country where I live. You go up northern Wisconsin, and we got big timber there. But I'm pretty fascinated by what you guys do. I almost consider it to be an art. That's a skill, but there's an art to that, and that's pretty dang cool. So yeah, I definitely, I don't know when.
You got the invite. Come right out this November. Our season here is, our season for deer rotates on the calendar. It's not a date. It's it is a date, but it changes every year. Thanksgiving is always our last week, and we have 4 weeks. So This year, every 5 years leap year, it backs up and it flips ahead. So this fall, for deer, it flips ahead, so it starts the 4th, right?
Yeah,
Monday.
moved ahead.
Monday, November 4th. We always have a full week. It starts on a Monday, then we have a Residence Day and a Youth Day before that. But so we have 4 full weeks. So it's basically the whole month of November, because Thanksgiving is late. I think it's like the 28th. So the last day of deer will be the 30th this year. So come whenever you want. Now,
All righty.
we're fortunate here where we are that it's the western mountains, but of the northern part of the western mountains, I guess it's what it'd be, because you get north of here and you run out of mountains until you get more to the east. But we have early snow here. We have at the elevation, and we get earlier snow than most places, than even 15 miles south, sometimes 10, just 10 miles south of here at the lodge. There'll be bare ground, and we're hunting on snow, So we can have snow anytime. I mean, sometimes we get snow in early October because it doesn't last, but obviously the later in the season, the odds for having more snow is increased. So
Yeah, so
pick a week and come on out. Pick 2 if you want, whatever you want to do.
You got to be.
Might just have to do that. I was kind of wondering if you might offer, and I was like, man, I don't know. That'd be a pretty. I mean, I've hunted deer all my life, but I've never hunted them like that. And I know my dad always talked about how grandpa would do that. He's like, I'll get that bugger by the end of the day, and that amazes me. Like, and obviously you're going by. I mean, you talk about faith, like to look at a track and just to know like how you guys can. And I'm sure you guys have been off a time or two, like all of us, but like to know that buck's over 200 pounds, that's mind-boggling. That's bananas. That's cool.
Learn from your mistakes, like you said.
Yeah.
Shoot a couple of 150s. Probably shoot a couple of yearling does. Find at the end of that rainbow, and you pay attention pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's when you're just looking at the track and you're looking for a track that's a buck over 200. The double-edged sword is a lot of times they don't have the biggest racks. So we're not really even hunting for racks here. Whatever it's got when we get to the end of it, And I mean, sometimes you can make a decision, and I've passed up a bunch of them, and I know Rick has too. And over the years that you got a track that you think's around a 200-pounder, but you're kind of waiting to see if you can get a look at his rack. And then when you do, it's like, well, I don't know, it ain't that great, and you let them go. And then afterwards, sometimes you wish you hadn't have done that,
Yeah,
So,
and then we pulled the trigger on some and walked up and go, geez, that he wasn't what I thought he was, you know.
Yeah.
He's got a 110-inch rack or something, but he's a 220-pound buck. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just for the record, I wouldn't complain about that. That'd be good with me.
Hey,
But-
so going back to what you said about, spending all that time in the wilderness by yourself, and it actually goes by fast and you enjoy it. And I think that all of us agree the more experienced you are in the outdoors, that's part of guiding. The more experienced you are, the more humbling it is. And the better you get at it, it's you enjoy yourself. You don't worry about anything going wrong or happening, because it's just second nature to us. And that's part of guiding, which I think is teaching people everything that we know and seeing people learn all that stuff, and it intrigues them, and that's just incredible.
This winter I started. I've had it in my mind for a few years. I've written 3 books on deer hunting. I guess I've got about enough of that out. But I'm going to write a book on, I don't know what I'll call it, but it's more or less the adventures in guiding. And it's not just about, like, there'll be things with the clients that happen, and there's things that maybe dangerous situations, and then there's things when your vehicles break down and having to fix them. just all of those things over the years that happen, I think people would be interested in hearing some of them stories. Now, we've told a bunch of them on our various podcasts, over the last 6 years, but I want to start putting that down, and
I'm going to give you the title. I'm going to give you the title of your book right now. It's going to be called Spillin' Blood. The Adventures in Guiding.
Spillin' Blood.
I like it. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, the guiding.
Storytelling, it's the oldest art form there is.
That's right.
Yeah.
I tell people that. I said that's how hunting and people did things. They told the stories so other people could learn, and the ones that didn't learn died. They couldn't get no game to eat,
Right.
Yeah. Sat around a campfire and passed it on to the younger generation. So,
well, Billy, hopefully you take up Hal on his invite to come out. It's funny because I'd never seen Hal get so excited about talking about a YouTube video as he did the first time he told me about yours. He had followed you for quite a while when he told me, he's like, you got to watch this guy out in Alaska, Billy Molls. And I did. And I think Hal, like he said, he always modeled his way that he did his filming after yours. And it's he doesn't get too excited about too many videos, but
well, quite frankly, I don't watch hunting videos on YouTube too much. I did like when we were going to go moose hunting, I wanted to kind of see, get kind of a feel for what it would be like, in the areas and stuff. But I never was big on, especially like the TV shows were the worst, because once you watch one, you've watched them all, right? You know the deal in that. You got to do so much for the sponsors. You get 20 minutes of
film time
and 10 minutes of ads, and half of the film time is more ads, right? So I never watched any of that, but I was scanning through the I just punched in the search on the YouTube Alaskan moose hunting, and yours come up, and I started watching, because once you watch one, the algorithm pushes more to you, and I'm like, the best thing I liked, not the best thing, but the first thing I noticed, what I liked was they were an actual story, right? You're telling the story from the whole hunt, and the fact that they were like maybe an hour and a half long, I was like, nobody does that, right? Most of the ones that 5 to 10 minutes, maybe once in a while you get a half an hour one, So that's what intrigued me the most, and plus you were showing what you were seeing and the scenery and the beauty of the whole countryside out there, that was cool. So anyway, so I've watched them all, and then I started in on because I'm computer illiterate, so I didn't know about playlists, so I got into them, and every Sunday I'd watch one of the episodes of Trust the Guide, so I got through all of those, and then what's the other one there? What's your other playlist you got?
I just started. Well, yeah, I kind of got a lot of things going. My mind works faster than my body can anymore. Blaze Your Trail. I'm kind of hoping to continue doing that a little bit more, but kind of a young person's mentorship. Like I see all the wisdom that's sitting at your table. I mean, that's pretty cool to have an opportunity and a platform to share to other people, not only hunting, but like, try to help people out in life. And
right.
I don't know. Yeah. I kind of feel like I feel compelled to try to share what I've learned. One of the greatest blessings is I've got to spend time with one guy, 95% of the time, it's just one guy. So, sometimes you get a 2-on-1 or whatever, but 1 or 2 guys for a week to 2 weeks in time. And you guys know when you're in those type of situations, you really get to know a person, and then they share things about themselves. You share things about each other with that person that you wouldn't tell anybody. And so it really, really taught me over 25 years of doing that is like, what's in a man's heart? And you realize there's so many commonalities. And so that's probably the greatest education for me. So I learned something from every one of those guys, whether it be business, marriage, being a father, whatever it was like, I feel like I got a nugget or two from everybody. And that, for some reason, I just feel kind of compelled to share a lot of that. And then the other thing is, it's kind of like, I was just thinking about it this morning. I was reading John chapter 7, and, Jesus was talking about how it wasn't his time. Everybody wanted him to step up and be the king, right? To overthrow Rome. But he said, no, my time hasn't come yet. And man, that takes a lot of discipline to stick with it, because I've always said is what's harder than shooting a 10-foot bear is passing on a 9.5. And so as we do things in our lives and we're doing things that are we're doing them well, you're going to get a lot of opportunity to come your way, right? But just because you have a good opportunity doesn't necessarily mean that you should step into it. It's easy to get distracted. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess that's one thing that it's just taught me all this time in the wilderness, because I never had any agenda. I never watched any YouTube videos. I just stuck with what I wanted to do. I just kind of kept my head down. And I just focused on what I loved. And if I would have stayed in that television arena, I would have cashed in my chips. You're sitting at a poker table and you're playing and like, oh, things are pretty good. Things are going pretty good. And man, I'm kind of getting ahead. Maybe I need to play it safe from now on and just go in and cash in your chips. And so I get to talk at schools a fair bit. And I said, as soon as it becomes about the money, your dream just died. Because at that point, that's when you're going to cash out. If you're doing something you love and this opportunity comes and it's like, oh, if I did this, I could make more money. Whoa, you better be careful, because that could lead you down a rabbit trail at best, right? And so I think the greatest blessing that I've had, and now I kind of always knew that, hey, guide as long as you can, experience as long as you can, because I knew there was a shelf life in my body. I knew I couldn't run that hard forever. But I think now it's kind of like, I look at like television, and so much of what we see on social media, I call it Skittles, right? Everybody is selling Skittles, but not many people are making homemade gravy and pot roast and real mashed potatoes. Everything is just kind of a quick fix. It's a sugar. It's something to give you, dopamine, I guess, and quick. But I want to read novels. I want to read something that's deep and that's personal. And so that's what I'm trying to put into my films. And I also think all that alone time, and I kind of think for like hunters, you get that time of reflection and that time to be still and not follow the rat race of everyday life. That's been the greatest blessing of me and all my time in Alaska, is that stillness to consider and to question things. And I never read a book until I was like in my 20s. Like, I didn't know how to tell a story. I was horrible at English was my worst subject. But once I found something that I was interested in, and then I stuck with that, then other doors of opportunity came available. And yeah, I've gone down a lot of rabbit trails and kind of got to the end of them and is like, whoa, this is the wrong direction. Is just stick with what you love, and live the life you want to live, and stick with that, and you can't hardly go wrong. Right. But it's so pervasive in our culture, to follow the money, go wherever the dollar signs are at. And I don't know. So yeah, that's something, I guess, to bring that to a cohesive point. That's something that I really find, because I've guided like you guys, multi-millionaires, and a lot of them are the most more miserable than most, right? Having money more money, more problems, I think. But just doing something that you love to do and provide value to other people. And, as guides, we get to make other people's dreams come true. That's pretty dang cool. That's why I never really wanted to necessarily hunt anything in Alaska for myself, because it's like, man, I get to have all the fun, all the adventure, do everything, and take all the lessons that I've learned and then give something to somebody else's life and get paid for it. That's pretty dang sweet, But as a young person, my objective was to kill my own sheep, my own bear, my own moose, all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a pretty cool ride, and the education typically comes from where you really don't expect it.
Yeah, to your point about, well, there's 2 points, but the one about thinking you're going to make money guiding, you're going to make money, but I taught a guide school for over 20 years out here too. Get your Maine's guide's license, and I taught it to some students were non-residents, most were residents, but I would always make sure I told them, because I knew a lot of them were, I'd always ask the group what they were going to do with their guide's license. Was it fishing? Some might be just fishing, or some they were going to start their own sporting camp or whatever. They all had their reasons, but a lot of them were they wanted to take some bear hunters. And as soon as I heard that, I automatically knew, because see here, our bear hunt is like the biggest part of it is over bait, because the woods is so thick. And I know them guys, what they're doing is they're sitting there adding up. They see the ads, what everybody else is charging for a bear hunt, and they're adding that up. Boy, I could take a week or two off of work, and if I took 5 hunters a week, and they're adding that all up in their mind. And so I would make sure I told them, if you're getting your guide's license for the money, you're not going to be a very good guide. You got to to be a guide, you want to help people. That's the idea of guiding. That's got to be your main focus. Because if you help the people, your reward, you're going to get your pay for doing it. But it goes far beyond that. You know that. It's just you make friendships and all of that. And I could see it over the years. There'd be every year, there'd be, back before there was much with the internet, we have a couple of local, not local, but state outdoors type publications, papers, and there would be ads in there. You've seen them. You guys have both seen them. There'd be a new guy with his business card ad in there, taking bear hunters, starting out, and the next year they were gone, because they either couldn't get enough hunters, or the hunters they got.
Yeah, and they figured out how much work it was.
Yeah, or that too, yeah.
Right.
They didn't figure in the fuel expense either.
Yeah. So, but yes, you have to guide, you have to guide to help people and teach them and make an experience for them, and that's what it's about,
It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah,
when it boils down, it's a matter of, for me anyway, it was, you touched on it. You're bringing people out and fulfilling their dreams. What's better than that? You're taking someone on an adventure that they've never been on before, or maybe they've been on it, but not quite like this. And so that is the most satisfying part. And like you said, we all have lifelong friends now from people that we've guided over the years. And that's really what it's all about.
Do what you love and love what you do. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That makes a good life.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned was getting advice from people, but you probably have had people, like we all have, ask you for advice, right? I'm sure you've had that happen, because I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, because when I first started guiding full time, when I was building my place, it might be not so much hunting, because if you're out, especially deer hunting, but fishing seemed to be the biggest one. Be out in a canoe, fly fishing with somebody, and all of a sudden they're like asking you for marital advice, and I'm like, I didn't know I had to be a psychologist and a marriage counselor and all this to be a guide. But Yeah. But anyways, that still, it builds the friendships, and that's what's good about it. So
I had a guy, quick story, guy, he gets dropped off from the Brooks Range, drops me off. The pilot is leaving. You can still hear the plane, and I'm filming it. And the hunter's kind of off, taking care of his gear. He's 20 feet away by the tent. And as I'm filming, I'm not saying much. I'm just filming. And all of a sudden he goes, I might as well tell you now because I'm going to tell you sooner or later I'm having an affair on my wife. So I just turned the camera off, and I'm like, really? I was thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to call the pilot. I'm like, come and get this guy. In 10 days, that's the first.
It's going to be a long week.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I really enjoyed hunting with the guy, and at one point, he's asking me advice. I'm like, I don't know. I was married at the time, not for very long, and finally he said he was having an affair on his wife, and he was telling me about this, and he 4 or 5 days into it, and he goes, the thing of it is I think my wife knows about it, and I'm like, dude, I know less about women than perhaps anybody in the world, but I do know this. If you think she knows, I guarantee you she knows.
Yeah.
He saw, so we're 4 days in, we're spiked out for sheep, and I got my satellite phone, and I pull it out, call the outfitter to tell him, hey, we don't have a ram yet, and tell him what's going on. And then when he realized that I had a satellite phone, his eyes just got big. And I'm like, I do know this. This is for emergencies. I said, if you needed to call somebody, you could. But I said, I will tell you this. I'll give you this piece of advice. Don't even think about calling your wife or your girlfriend. I said, take this 10 days and you figure out what you need to do. Utilize this 10 days. Yeah. And so he left, and he called me 3 months later. I was in the bush for a couple months yet. And so he calls me the middle of winter, and he said, hey, I just wanted to thank you for, all you did. Hunting was great. We got a sheep, got a caribou. And he said, I just wanted to let you know, before I left that hunt, I knew I had to break it off with my girlfriend. And I'm like, really? Because he never told me that. And he said, when I got home, my wife picked me up, and she confronted me. She knew. And, we've kind of been sweeping things under the rugs for years. Kids were moved on out of the house. And he goes, I think we're going to make it. And so nothing I did, but I just think that 10 days to get outside of the bubble of your life is so freaking powerful. Strangely, I never miss my wife and my kids, or love my wife or my kids more than when I'm away. All the negatives they just fall off. I mean, they really do. And you really just take things for what they are, and you realize you don't take you take nothing for granted out there. Right.
You hear that, guys? That's a sales. That's a sales pitch for going to advice. A sales pitch for going to Alaska. Tell your wife, I'll never love you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First trip.
That's what I do. Public speaking. Once in a while, I'll share that story. And I said, so for any of you ladies or any of you couples, if you're having marital problems, just send your husband on a Dall sheep hunt, and all your problems
should be good. Be well worth it.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, Billy, the other thing I wanted to mention to you about big game hunting is we have a lottery for our moose permits here. So you should start applying if you're interested.
I should. Heck yeah, I should. I haven't applied for hardly anything, but that's something that I should be doing. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I'm, just something to share with you guys, kind of what I feel led to do a little bit more, at least to some degree, is I'm kind of like you guys, you get to know people, and, doors of opportunity open, just like what, the door you just opened, to come hunting. And that's something that I feel led to do, is to step into, go hunting with other people and share their story. I love storytelling. I love it. I don't really know how that happened, but it's not about it's not about the inches. It's more about the track. like, what did you learn from that buck to shoot it? And then it's over, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when I look back at all the hunts that I've been on, the stuff that I like hold on to that I remember most, there are always things that when they happen seemed inconsequential. It's not the rack. It's not. It's everything. It's the people that you're with, the things that you learn, the adversities that you go through. And so, yeah, I'm kind of in a somewhat of and this injury has maybe brought that to light, so to speak, is to have an opportunity, just like guiding, you've got an opportunity to make people's dreams come true. What I'm kind of finding with filmmaking and going hunting different places a little bit here and there is the Lord's given me an opportunity to share people's story. Yep. And that's pretty dang cool, because with our story, with our life, I mean, we're called to sow seeds, right? And those seeds that we sow, hopefully those are going to be producing fruit long after we're gone. Because if we're just focused for ourselves, just like the guys you're talking about at the guide school, they're just wanting to do bear hunts for themselves, right? Well, that's where it all ends, right? And if we're focused on ourselves, there's going to be nothing for anybody else left, right? And that's just going to be a dead end. And so, yeah, during this time, yeah, I mean, I sure miss guiding in Alaska. I miss that 100 days a year. But just like what Rick was saying, is you just find something that you love to do it and do that. I mean, that's a life well lived. And I'm really, really enjoying just going into different hunting camps, meeting different people, and just seeing how they live and the way they do it. And that's pretty dang cool. So, yeah, I think we might have to chat on that. I don't know if it'll be this fall, but Lord willing, I'll come out there, and I might have to buy some green and black, it looks like. But maybe I can pose with you guys for a week or two.
Yeah, you could.
We'll take care of you. Don't worry about that. Yeah, but that's why basically how me and my partner Chris started. We started our Big Woods Bucks business with that theme of passing it on and teaching people. And then we figured, I knew what right off when I was younger and I started doing those seminars at the trade shows and stuff, and I'd be up there, I'm 6'3" and pretty slim, and I could see the people in the audience kind of glazing over. I know what they're thinking. They're like, well, that son of a bitch can probably track a deer, but I don't think I could do it, So that kind of came along with having these other guys on the team, because if you have a great team of guys, somebody's going to relate to everybody, right? You're not going to relate to everybody, but somebody will, So it makes a good team, and that's what our mission is passing it on. So
love it.
Yep. All right. Well, this has been great, Billy. Great having you on.
Yeah, good time.
Finally getting to meet you, although it's not in person. But so, anyways, yeah, we'll. I got your number. We'll be in touch.
Hopefully, it'll be in person.
Yeah, and
get you out here.
So, if anybody wants to get on and follow Billy on his channel, it's Modern Day Mountain Man, and you've also you sell the videos too, right, or the DVDs or whatever.
Yep, I got a bunch of digital download DVD. Probably half of probably 40% of our content is on YouTube.
Yeah. So buy the DVDs and get on his channel and check out what Billy's doing. He's spreading the word. And you also are doing some public speaking now. I see that, conferences and stuff. Might be someone on here listening. Yep. might want to hire you out. I recommend it.
Yeah, I do a lot of corporate speaking, Christian outreach, a fair bit of schools. I've spoken to a few colleges, believe it or not. Yeah, I usually raise some eyebrows when I go speak at a college. But no, I love it. And that's kind of falls into the storytelling aspect, and you get to share aside, just like guiding. There's always a lot more that goes into something than what people ever recognize on the surface level, right? And, as guides, we we get to study nature and we get immersed in it, and we have these perspectives that we can share with the world, like the truth of conservation and hunting and the brutal realities of hunting. Like I get to share stories about how, brown bear or any bear will fight a sow and kill the cubs and eat them. You don't see that on Disney. And so it's to your point, like we all have an opportunity to share with different people, and our stories as individuals connect with different people in different ways. And to have a platform and to use it to sow seeds for the next generation. I think that's what we're called to do. That's what everything in nature does. Everything in nature, through its life, gives life to something else. That's how nature perpetuates.
100%.
Yeah. All right then, Billy. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll notify you when this is going to be up. You might want to tell your friends.
All right.
Thank you, Billy. It was nice meeting you.
It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's pretty dang cool. I remember reading Larry Benoit's stuff or articles about him. That's when I first started finding about tracking these big bucks in the woods. And then I found some of your stuff, Hal. And now I got my daughters were saying, hey, Rick Labbe is going to go track a buck. So my daughters are even starting to watch that stuff now.
Good deal.
So it's pretty dang. I love it.
You'll have to have them. My grandson shot his first buck tracking himself last fall. He's 14, and I filmed him. And I wished I didn't get as much film as I should. I should have. I should have had the camera out more, but we were pretty hot after it. But have your daughters watch him shooting his first buck. It's a pretty cool one. It's going to come out pretty quick here. Yeah.
I'll check it out.
All righty.
Good meeting you, Bill.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All righty. All right. Well, that was great. Great having Billy on. And
talk to that guy for hours. He's probably got some stories, I would say.
Joe was trying to give me the hook here for the last 15, 20 minutes.
It's not the hook. I'm just letting you know where we're at. That's all. We can talk for 2 hours if you want.
Loosen the drag, give him some line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Just a couple things here. We got both size packs in stock again, finally. I know we've had one and we've had the other, but we got them both in. So
cool.
We'll have a steady supply now. We just had to go through a little transition period there. And I talked to Chris this morning, and I guess the jackets are about done as far as the new patterns and stuff. We made to the jackets. We made a couple of little changes, minor ones that people asked about. So, you did a good promotion on the packs there on your deer hunt there from last fall. I didn't realize it, but I still got my original one, that plain green one we had made out of the cheap recycled wool, and that's my one I carry on my snow machine, coyote hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
I put my lunch in there, and I got my
perfect
shells.
size. Yeah, put it right around your handlebars.
Put it on the handlebars, and
it's like having a Samsonite suitcase to carry on your back, though. That does not work well for that giant one.
Oh yeah, that one was a big one, but it's great on the handlebars.
Yeah, well, that's what it's good for.
I put my little coffee thermos in, the water, and my lunch.
That's what you carry hunting too, isn't it? Put your thermos in there.
Yeah, yep. So when I sit down and put my down booties on there, I can be warm.
You see, like on my video, I love the big pack with the shoulder straps because all your weight's on your shoulders.
Right.
And the belt loop basically keeps it tight, snug, so it ain't swinging around. And I wear it under with my jacket over it. And just a key point about wearing it that way, I noticed like the day Joe and I tracked, you had your pack on the outside, and it was a wet snow all day long, and it was still snowing, dripping off the trees. And at times I'd look at Joe ahead of me, and he'd have almost a foot of snow on his pack. So I'd walk up, and he'd like, "What are you doing?" And I was squeaking 30 pounds of snow off his back. And so wearing your jacket over that, I think, it's a good key for everybody, to say, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea."
I've always done it because if you put it on the outside, eventually, especially a wet snow, it seeps through onto your back, and
Yeah.
Runs down to your crack there. But so,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. And the other housekeeping thing I had was, if anybody's interested, I'll be guiding on a outfitter tag moose permit again this year. And if you're interested in hunting with me for moose,
That'll
just
be a
so
good
you know
one.
ahead of time, their outfitter tags are pretty big money. But you can shoot me an email or something, and I'll give you the contact information to talk about. I can talk about the details of the hunt, but not the logistics of everything else, the money end of it. But anyways, other than that, we'll sign off, and once again, support our sponsors. Click the ding bell on the thing to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and till next time, good luck on the trail.
Hi everyone, team member Mark Sheeran here. Are you or someone you know struggling with a drug or alcohol problem, but you don't want to go to rehab or 12-step meetings? Well, that's exactly why we created our non-12-step Freedom Model Coaching Program. In our program, you can be coached by me and Michelle Dunbar through our in-house 2-day addiction solution workshop, or if you want to stay home, you can be coached through video conferencing on Zoom. Both options are powerful and proven effective. We've personally coached more than 27,000 people over the last 34 years. With the Freedom Model, you won't have any record of being treated for an addiction either. This is a huge benefit for those with professional licenses, or who are high profile, or simply who have a lot to lose with such a damaging label. If you're ready to change your life and solve your addiction for good, call me directly at 888-424-2626 and set up your free 30-minute coaching session today. I look forward to helping you. And here's that number again, 888-424-2626. Take care.
Hey guys, Joe here. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lake Parlin Lodge. We're a 4-season lodge located just south of Jackman. We've got cabins, lodge rooms, mini lodge. We're a big snowmobile destination in the winter, full restaurant, bar, all the amenities that you need for your trip. Open all obviously through the summer, right on the lake. Kayaks, canoes, all included with the cabin. We also do a lot of weddings, so if you're looking for a destination wedding, we can do a wedding up to 200 people. And of course, we've got our hunting season, moose season, deer season. So check us out. We're at lakeparlinlodge.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, good luck on the trail.